Good evening, boys. It's your boy, Dr. Zoomer. Glad to be here. Glad to see that MW2 commentary vids are making a comeback. And glad to participate to that comeback, you know? I've always loved the commentary style of video. I think it's always going to be a very male focused hobby and listening experience because realistically, we're the only guys who actually play this game. And the type of commentary on these videos will always be, in my opinion, just things that only us will understand. Only a certain very peculiar type of man will understand, you know. We immediately filter out the TikTok zoomers due to the fact that, sure, there's a bit of gameplay going on in the background, but realistically, you know, the real content of these videos is it's the voice, it's the stories, it's what we say, how we giggle, etc. It's not the actual game. It is good though. I do like some good gameplay, especially the nostalgic ones. I've always liked these videos, as I said. Very nostalgic for me. Very glad it's back. So yeah, anyway. Purpose of this new channel will be to vent and rant about modernity. Maybe get some giggles out of you guys. Talk about corpo life, things that I'm sure a lot of you can relate to. I think many of you will be in the software engineer class. I'm a different type of class. I'm more warlock slash thief type of guy. I work in consulting, asset management consulting. So you know, we are peak corporate raiders. And yeah, I just want to talk about like stories about it all, about the meaningless of it all, and how how it is. And I figure, I've got a bit of experience under my belt. I'm starting to see clearer through the fog of like career, corporate life, so on and so forth. So I can share a bit basically, especially to the younger ones out there, and maybe put out some content that many of you guys can relate to and and feel heard, or feel at least that we're not alone, which is a big part of this. Talking like this. And seeing so many of the channels which are, more or less exactly the same thing. It's always mostly white guys yapping on and on about our realistically pretty comfy corporate lives, but just bitching about this current state of the world we inherited, the problems in it, and rarely talking about the good stuff. So I do want to make it a point of this channel to talk about just how amazing life is, lads, when you forget about the bullshit, of course. So yeah, both the cure to my loneliness and maybe yours. It's a subject that came to mind very recently when I was in the metro. I was thinking to myself that we are virtually constantly surrounded by people. In the metro, you're literally shoved in like little sardines in a box. You can smell other people that's so close to you because life sucks. and uh, and yet, like no one actually knows you amongst all those people. Like many people, don't have friends when you change cities, which is my case. I just changed cities for work, and I don't know anyone here, and yet I'm always in contact with other people, literally in each other's, living space, because the underground tends to be like that. But yeah, so more than that, just rants really about the state of modern life. Another topic that I actually thought about again in the metro is how these days we always seem to be, constantly doing stuff. Like at work, you'll always have a massive to-do list, a bunch of calls, so on and so forth. And yet nothing seems to get done, which I always found incredibly, just incredible, honestly. I don't, I don't know, I guess our systems have just become too complex, too complex that we can't really, how would I put this, just find efficient ways to go from A to B without, with clear stakeholders and clear hierarchies and everything. I think everything these days is just bundled up together, and the result is shit. The result is absolute trash. I keep thinking back about the Curtis Yarvin example of the cathedral. And not in his sense, but just in the sense that you were a peasant, right, in medieval ages, and you're told to just put one brick on top of the other. And it just makes sense to you, and you can see the cathedral slowly being built, part of which, like, is thanks to you, thanks to your labor, you know, because you might have put, like, that brick and that brick, so on and so forth. And how we just don't have that these days, you know, we have shitty PowerPoints, we have meaningless projects that will upgrade the efficiency of company X by 10%. And yeah, I just keep thinking that we were always doing stuff, even at home, you know, watching series, watching TikToks, doing stuff left and right. And yet it will all just be forgotten the next day. It was completely devoid of, you know, of interest realistically, but also of any form of intensity. We never do anything that matters, actually. The intensity of life has gone down the drain. Anyway, I'd rather talk about the intense parts of life, the ones that we enjoyed. Laugh about that. But yeah, more about the themes of the channel. Let's see. I've got a few notes here. Theme number one is that modern life is not life. So we've been lied to about the nature of life, which I truly believe, by the way. That what we're living right now, not that it's a simulation or whatever like that, you know, it's silly in my opinion, but just that our experience of life with a capital L is just so far removed from the way, you know, God conceived it, or if you're an atheist, you know, nature conceived it, or whatever you want to believe. It's just not it, basically. Just not it. Other themes will be us versus them. And by us, I mean, you know, the plebs, the second-class citizens versus them. We all know who them are. The first-class citizens. Higher versus lower. Higher people versus lower people. I think that's a theme that's going to dominate the 21st century. I think two themes are going to dominate this 21st century. It'll be like a, you know, unified realization, like there is a higher and a lower to everything. Just a very sharp pushback against the theme of equality. I think equality is going to be down the drain by the end of the 21st century. I think us Zoomers will rebel against the modern world, as Ebola put it, and absolutely destroy any myth of equality that the millennials handed on to us. And higher versus lower also in people, you know, like actual people. There's no equality in the biological beings that, you know, make up populations. There's always going to be higher and lower. What else do we have here? Biology, sorry, as natural determinants, mystic and spiritual, digital sovereignty. So you know where I'm going with that, with all that good old bit cussy. Urbit stars, if you know about Urbit stars, you're a real one. Monero transactions, amazing. Dark web deals. I'm sourcing a bunch of beef right now, the dark web, where I can just buy a whole cow, and you know how it like have all the organ meats and all the good cuts and straight to my house. It's amazing. Love the dark web. Cyberpunk survival and cyberpunk decay, as we're seeing in China right now. It's a theme that not many people are talking about, but it's incredibly fun and entertaining. I would recommend. And corporate maxing. Like, we do hate corporations, lad, but I do think that, like, the new era of piracy will not happen on the high seas, or in the woods, or in the cities. It'll happen in the office, fellas. I'm already hearing stories about how the Italian mafia is taking over, like, many big banking groups in Italy. International banking groups, so, you know, you can think about Goldman Sachs, JP, etc. And how they, you know, they've got, like, MDs up there who are only promoting fellow Italians from the tribe, from the clan, and how they're just taking over entire, you know, corporations, which is crazy. Like, you know, the Arabs could hijack planes. These people are thinking about hijacking corporations, which makes a lot of sense when you think about it. Anyway, What else? But yeah, generally I just make vids about stuff that I found interesting and fun, and stories that I've had, and like funny corporate drama that you would never hear anywhere else. Because us consultants, you should know, we don't really deal with like the lower echelons. Like many consultants, we deal straight with the C-suite execs. So that's your CFO, chief procurement officer, chief operating officer, etc., etc. And just like the craziness of their world. And also the fact that, it reminded me of ancient tyrants in like Greek islands, basically, where the tyrants were like hated by their population, but also by their bodyguards. And so, there's a fact that in Greece, being a tyrant was like the lowliest of class, basically. And to be a tyrant was, to be the worst of the worst, and they couldn't sleep well at night, and that's why they imported alien populations, so like populations from outside who didn't hate them, who felt very neutral to them because they had no attachment to this land and to how badly he was treating the people and the land, etc. And so he would invite these aliens in, and like his courts would be full of people who weren't from around there, who would like him very much and would give him many gifts and be very, very kind to him and so on and so forth. He would basically like import friends, and this is what the C-suite execs are doing as well. Because many of their own, workers just kind of hate them. Kind of hate them to a large extent, but the consultants, we don't work at the company. We don't owe you shit. We just want our money. And we're the ones being taken in to do the hard jobs. I mean, the amount of missions that I've been on and seen that like it's the entire mission is just to fire a bunch of people so that the big company doesn't have to blame like its CEO or breed resentment amongst the lower ranks and just say, oh, these guys at McKinsey, man, they told us to do this, it's out of our hands, etc., etc. The drill. But yeah, I think that would make I've got a lot of stories to tell about that, so I hope you'll enjoy it. What else do we got here? Dissatisfaction with the current state of things and what is being pushed on either political sides. I mean, yeah, we can talk a lot about politics, but the real final red pill is that it doesn't matter the slightest and that both sides are exactly the same. Basically, like, I make these vids because I would have liked to see such vids myself when I was a kiddo, especially about finance and the world of high finance. Because it would have been funny, first off, and I do like the social commentary type of video. I do like, a mix of like awe-inspiring stuff, awe-inspiring stories, as well as historical narratives and like silly goose moments and fun stories overall. And also the constant reminder that modern life is fake. I'd have liked someone to tell me that, especially when I was younger, when I was starting off in finance. But yeah, that's the theme of the channel, lads. Hope you'll enjoy it. If you have any recommendations of what you want to hear in the next videos, please let me know. Always a pleasure. And yeah, hope you have a good one, lads. See ya.